Thank Jennifer and thanks for all our participants, Royal Highnesses, Excellencies, panel members, our beloved girls, boys, and young people, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues and partners. It gives me great pleasure to give this opening remarks on the occasion of this important virtual meeting to exchange ideas and experiences on the role of traditional leaders in ending child marriage. This important meeting, which was supposed to have been held face to face, is being organized virtually because of COVID 19 and the restrictions on travels and meetings. This virtual meeting is supposed to generate ideas and outcomes to influence decisions towards ending child marriage at local, national, and continental levels. You would agree with me, dear colleagues, that our traditional leaders play an important role in keeping societies and communities together, and this honorable role dates back to many centuries. The role of traditional leaders in shaping and upholding cultures and belief systems permeates every society. The oversight role of traditional leaders cannot be overemphasized. As custodians of our culture and belief systems, traditional leaders provide a framework which um, regulates our culture and the way we behave, and especially that of marriage, which we all attest to. In the performance of your role as traditional leaders in upholding societal norms, lie the nexus of legislation and constitutions, which sometimes conflict with customary laws. The dilemma has always been around where to draw the line. Traditional leaders in most of our societies play a great role in marriage ceremonies, and it is estimated that over 85% of all marriages in our communities are overseen by traditional leaders or their delegates. It is important to also acknowledge that some of these marriages involve children who are less than 18 years and who need to be protected from such marriages. The upset in child marriage is underpinned by factors which are well known to all of us. The implications of child marriages are equally known to all of us, and sometimes the abuses and the violations that result from child marriages are reported back to our traditional leaders as mediators in our communities. The question has always been who are the faces behind child marriage and who are the most impacted? It is always the girl, some as young as 8 years. As with most gender based violence, there's always a female face behind child marriage. The African Children's Charter, which was 30 years last year, prohibits any marriage relations between persons under the age of 18, and this is upheld by most national constitutions. The question to ask ourselves is why do we still have child marriages whilst there are all these prohibitions? The gravity of child marriage is not only in numbers, but is the violation of an individual's right. We all have an obligation to support families to understand the impact of child marriages on children, especially girls. We have a collective obligation to protect, prevent, and prohibit child marriages from taking place at all costs. COVID 19 presents the world with an unprecedented development dilemma, which has projected to result in about 13 million child marriages over the next decade, according to a UN report. The phenomenon is very worrying and could reverse the gains made in addressing child marriages and gender-based violence in most of our communities. Whilst looking at the challenges, it's also important to recognize effort being made at various levels by various organizations and institutions to fight and address child marriages. The AU campaign on ending child marriage is one such continental effort. As an organization, Plan International has a number of interventions, including the establishment of a Center of Excellence on Ending Child Marriage. At the country and community levels, Plan had been working with various partners and traditional leaders to end child marriage. We recognize, appreciate, and acknowledge the notable role played by some traditional leaders in their communities to fight child marriage, including the enactment and enforcement of bylaws in their communities and chiefdoms. As we delve into the discussion and exchanges, I would like to pay tribute to the great role being played by our traditional leaders in addressing child marriages and other harmful practices in our communities. As we share our experiences, challenges, and best practices over the next 2 days, I would like all of us to reflect on actions we can take individually and collectively to end child marriage. Girls are meant to be children. They are meant to be nurtured and they are meant to be supported and guided to be responsible adults. We all owe it a duty and a responsibility to allow girls to grow as children and not as girl brides. As an organization, Plan would continue to collaborate with stakeholders to end child marriage, and we pledge our wholehearted commitment to this cause. Finally, let me wish everyone a successful deliberation over the next 2 days and hope that we would all share in these experiences, but most importantly, pledge to help address child marriage in our century. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sam. And for those very, very timely words for this, especially for around in child marriage and the role of traditional leaders, young people, and the community at large. Especially during last year, we have seen a spike